Writers, happy Monday. Welcome back to your Monday Morning Jumpstart. I am Jade Trueblood and I'm joined by Annette Annechild. Hi, Annette.
Hello, Jade. Good to see you.
I mentioned this in our last segment and I'm going to reiterate it again. I rarely say that you have to go back, but please, if you have not listened to our other sessions with Annette, they are so brilliant. And I think there's so much in it that can help everybody. So even if you just listen to the first one on anxiety, because I think we're going to be talking today about the breath work that Annette walked everybody through in that session. So I highly recommend looking at that one. Annette, we talked about it, I feel like, in both of our segments in a different way, shape, and form, and that is self-care. I feel like the breath work and giving yourself that 10 minutes is a version of self-care, but I would love to start at a place where I feel like people don't feel that they even deserve it, that they don't deserve the care and the time for themselves. So if we can address that and then just maybe get into what, like, redefining self-care.
Well, in our last segment, we were talking about setting an intention for the day. And I mentioned that my own was to love and serve. And that took the onus off of outcome. We're talking about effort, not outcome. So the important thing is you have to serve yourself first. I can't serve you if I need something. So for instance, before I start my day with clients, I make sure I've done everything I need to do that morning. I go out and feed the birds. I have my coffee, my juice, my breakfast, whatever it is for you. And I think that's what starts where we are today. Most people don't even know what they need. That's how outcome-oriented Americans are. Now, if you talk to Europeans or Easterners, they know what they need. They'll tell you right off the bat. And funny enough, men more likely know what they need. Women, not so much, right? We're putting out fires usually. We're running for everything. Do it, yeah.
Yeah.
But the best servant is one that's taken care of. So I would challenge everybody to think about when, maybe later in today, what do I need? Like, even like I go to bed early and people go, why do you go to bed so early? I go, well, I don't go to sleep so early. But if I go up to bed at 9 o'clock, I'm not sleeping probably till 10:30 or so, which would be right for me, according to when I wake up, etc. Because I meditate, I bathe, I do my face routine, my teeth routine. By the time I'm brushing my hair, by the time all that's done, I'm ready to sleep. So I think it's important to investigate what are your needs as a person and what are your needs as a writer, right? You want to cultivate the self-care around what you want to be doing, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm cultivating often, like, my job requires me being relaxed and listening and remembering. So people always ask me, how do you remember all these stories? Because I'm listening with my heart. Mm-hmm. Not thinking about 10 other things. So again, we go back to how do we approach self-care? Well, we have to approach it from the body. Am I hungry? Am I thirsty? What do I need? Right? We have to approach it from the mind. How do I control this mind that's telling me I got 50 chores to do? What am I going to do first? As opposed to doing the next right thing, which we'll talk about as well later. So it's how do I get myself in the best possible position to serve the day? And at the end of the day, to be inspired, not drained. If you're drained at the end of the day, I would offer that you didn't start the day ready for the day, right? So if you stayed up too late or you didn't eat or any of the things that you didn't meditate, you'll be much more drained at the end of the day. Right. And what we're trying to do, I think, is to find our flow. I think of like this sort of river flowing that I want to be on. I want to be gliding along the current. I don't want to be fighting upstream. I want to be like using that universal force to carry me. And when that's not happening, I stop and I'm like, okay, Annette, you've tried this 4 different times and it's not working. Maybe try something else. So if you're struggling to write, I don't think you should be beating yourself up. I think you should be taking breaks. What's wrong? Have you not thought through where this is going? Are you anxious about something? Are you hungry, thirsty? What is it that's stopping that flow? Because probably all of us have experienced the flow sometimes. It's kind of like the muse, it just shows up. So I've really spent my career trying to figure out how to stay in that flow best we can.
So I think there's two parts to that, right? So it's taking time to know what you need. So like how do I show up as the best writer? What does that circumstance look like, right? Is it sleep? Is it food? Is it quiet? Like what is that? And then it's how to get that more of that, into your life. Annette, if somebody's like stuck on how to even find out what they need, do you have is that come up in meditation? Where does that normally show up? Where you have an awareness even of the things that you need in order to get those more of that?
So I do have a technique that really helped me, that you say to yourself, what's the best thing I can do for myself right now? And in the beginning, if you feel very out of touch with yourself, set a little alarm for every 15 minutes. And every time it goes off, ask yourself that question. Just take that pause and say, what's the best thing? And what's so interesting is that you find it simple things, like going to the bathroom or drinking water or having something to eat or walking around a little bit in the 10 minutes you might have off. So stopping and really starting to get in touch. And for some people, for many women, it's a revelation. They don't even realize they're running on empty. There's no fuel in the car. And therefore the car's dragging along. What we're aiming for is a vibrant life, right? A peaceful life, a life where at the end of the day, maybe everything didn't go your way, but you're good with it. That it felt like you offered your best service, and the best service has to start with to yourself.
I also feel like a very Western practice, and it's counter something you just said, so that's what struck me. It's like you feel like you have to give your all day to where you're completely exhausted at the end, and that's the way you go to sleep, right? Versus what you were saying is going to sleep inspired, going to sleep having taken care of yourself. It's such a reshift of what success even looks like, right? Like that success is being inspired at the end of the day versus exhausted and just depleted at the end of the day.
Yeah, that really brings up a good point, because people unknowingly or knowingly will influence what you think you should do. Right? So I mentioned that I like to go to bed early. I just get tired. I wake up early. I'm active all day. I'm a swimmer. I'm tired. At the end of the day, by 8 o'clock, I'm starting to wind down. And the joke within my own personal life is I'll have people at my house and go, everybody enjoy yourselves, lock the door on the way out. I'm going to bed. And of course, people go, what do you mean you're going to bed? It's so early, blah, blah, blah. And I don't care what anybody says. If I know I'm the one getting up tomorrow morning and I want to be ready for my day, bye-bye. Or it's really funny, I belong to this little beach club where almost everybody's retired. I'm not retired. So when I leave the club, everybody's like, where are you going? We're all going to have dinner, blah, 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 blah. I work. If I could sleep in till 10 tomorrow, I could go out with you tonight maybe, but that's not my life. Right? So paying attention to how much you're doing because other people do it that way. Each person is got to find what they need. And I just want to touch on, for self-care, like the importance of nutrition, right? People will say to me, well, I don't eat until noon. I don't like breakfast. I don't particularly love breakfast most days, but I always eat. Because if I don't eat when I get up, so it's 7:30 in the morning, I'm having like nut butter on raisin bread. If I don't eat that, by 10 or 11, I'm so depleted that by the time I do eat, my whole system's wacky. So I don't think of eating, I think even that's a service. I don't think I eat because I have appetite. I eat because I know 3 times a day my body needs fuel. So it comes down to the nitty gritty of like, what do I need? And I'm not saying that you can give yourself everything right away every day, But you have to start somewhere. And that's by just recognizing I do better when I eat a little something in the morning.
And I think if you
Simple.
look at something like eating as a service to yourself, what you're probably putting in is going to change. And I also,
100%.
I also have learned in my own journey of anxiety that not eating also fuels anxiety. You know, the more it activates that fight or flight in you when you don't have the food, because we still have these Neanderthal
Yeah.
brains where it's like, oh, there's no food, I need to go hunting for the food. Like that activates in your brain, even though you could just walk to the fridge and grab an apple.
And you do weird things. Like I have a funny little story.
Yeah.
So in the place where I swim, there's one swimming lane and the rest of the pool is shallow and there's one long, deep lane. So it's you wait kind of until it's free to jump in and do your swimming, because we all swim from a half an hour to an hour. So it's a long time. So somebody that I kind of look up to, because she's such a good swimmer, did something I couldn't understand. She actually stole the lane from somebody else, like dove in and kind of took over a lane. And of course, my friends were all, don't say anything, Annette, but I have to clear everything. So I say to her when we're alone, very sweetly, I was a little surprised when you took the lane. And at first she's like, well, they were over too far. She's real defensive. And I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't push it. And then she kept talking about it. And finally she looks at me and she goes, I came here and I was starving. I was crazy. I just wanted that lane and I took it. And I was like, okay, I get that, you know? And that was true. I saw her come in. I saw her say she hadn't eaten all day and she was a mess and all that. And I thought, wow, how many of these bad behaviors that you see of people driving crazily and all the things you see where people are so unaware comes down to simple things like no water, no food, too much food, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So again, this awareness is like you're dropping a pebble in a still lake and those concentric circles just keep moving out. So awareness of your own needs also helps you understand the needs of others. It would be impossible for me to do what she did because I'm so aware of how the other person feels. I could never do that. Not that I'm a better person, but I'm just more aware. She was unaware that she was a mess until it was pointed out to her.
That's one of my favorite sayings, especially when you're dealing with other people, that everybody's doing the best with their level of awareness, right? So now Annette has brought this to your attention and your level of awareness has arisen. So now you have to do the best from that level of what you are aware right now, which we're saying is self-care, is eating, is all these things. And I think, Annette, to bring it back for like what somebody should and can implement right now is that we're saying start with the like setting the alarm and the check-in of you, and start with even something as simple as feeding yourself well and taking care of yourself in that realm. It doesn't have to be going to the spa and like all these, you know, big things when we think of self-care in our head.
Exactly true. Yeah. Like I never go to spas and people go, I would have thought you would have gone all the time. And I'm like, my life is a spa. I try to live my life like that, right? It's just important that we become our best friend. And it sounds so trite, but it's really true. People are so hard on themselves. I would venture that every one of us should look at that inner monologue. What is your inner monologue? Is it supporting you or negating you? You know, mine used to be very negative years ago. Like if I made a mistake, this voice would say, Annette, you're ridiculous. You're ridiculous. I was never ridiculous. Maybe I just lost my wallet, you know, or whatever mistake I'd made. Double booked an appointment. You make mistakes. So watch to see what that mind is telling you, because it adds up. If that mind is watching you like a hawk and jumping in every time you do something not perfect, that's so draining. So much energy goes out that way. So you want the inner monologue when you make a mistake, or let's say you didn't get the writing done you wanted to do today, more like this. And it's very comforting to literally do this. Even patting one to the other. There's a whole school of therapy called tapping. And just something as simple as this comforts ourselves. We're all doing the best that we can, no matter what that looks like today.
And I think just to end with saying that you're deserving, right? You're deserving of the care. You're deserving of the vibrant, beautiful life. Yes. yes, that Annette is describing. And that's our goal, is to get you feeling even just a little bit better from where you might have started the session.
Yeah.
So I want to be doing, yes, yes. Thank you so much, Annette. I think next we can get into doing the next right thing, because I think that might help a lot of people. But
One of my favorites.
Amazing. So thank you so much. Bye.
My pleasure. Bye.